Hey, welcome and thank you for tuning in. Today, we're going to be going over the OCTATRACK. I'm actually excited because this is a sampler that I've had my eye on for a very long time. Just never really got around it till just recently. This is the month of October, and what a better month to display this sampler. I'm actually going to pull it out right here. This OCTATRACK is actually a really interesting sampler. What I'm going to do, I'm going to go over and I'm going to attempt to make a beat on the OCTATRACK, even though it's pretty complex. But we're going to see what we come up with and have some fun. But before I do jump into the beat making section, I just want to go over a few reasons why this is a sampler that really caught my attention. I've just had my eye open to picking up an alternative, not because the MPC is not good enough, but just for the reason that I want to try a different approach to making music. I did own the Digitone by Elektron a while ago, and that was really fun. I actually enjoyed, and I fell in love with the workflow side of the Elektron just machines. But when it came down to sampling, the Digitone is a sampler, but it just was not the type of sampler that I saw myself sitting down chopping up samples, because yes, it lets you sample it, but it just does not let you slice your samples the way I'm used to slicing samples. You could get around it, but it gets a little complicated, and it's just something that I just did not click with, so I sent that one back. Let's go ahead and open this up and see what we come up with. As a matter of fact, I had opened this up already a while ago. All right, so it's not really an unboxing video, but this is the OCTATRACK, and I've actually had to open this up before I filmed this video because, like I mentioned, this thing has a lot you can do with it, and I had to kind of figure it out before I hit record, or else we would have been stuck in the first step during this whole video. Now I'm gonna go ahead and plug this in. All right, so let's go ahead and power this thing on. And real quick, the OCTATRACK is 8 tracks. It has 8 tracks, as you guys see right here is track 1 through 8. But what we're gonna do is on track 8, we are gonna make that track our master track. So all of these 7 tracks are now going through track 8. Right here, I actually just turned this on, and we're gonna go into project, and I'm gonna make a new project. I don't know, let's just put YT and hit yes, and this is gonna create this. Now that we have this created, this is your tap tempo or your metronome. You could click that and you can drop your tempo at whatever you want. I'm usually at 80, but I don't know what we're gonna have right now with the sample that we're gonna chop up. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put a sample in track 1, and we'll actually start chopping up a sample. I double tap track 1, and I'm gonna go into my compact flash card in the back, which I actually have a few samples right there loaded. Yo, that's dope. Okay. All right, so I'm actually gonna start with this one. I'm gonna hit yes. So now that sample is loaded into track 1. Now that I'm selected in track 1, I'm gonna go to my audio editor. And if I select the audio editor, you will see your entire sample. This is actually a full song. And if I preview that song, like, it's the entire song. I want to do a selection. Right here, you have your trim, your slice, your editor. You could go ahead. I'm actually gonna trim this. And this is your start point. This is your end point. And now at the bottom right here, you can scroll left or right. You could zoom in or out. But let's actually start from the top and see where I can select my downbeat. I'm gonna zoom in. 5, 4, 1. Right there. And I mean, you could get super zoomed in, and like, it's so fun. This is actually really comfortable to chop up your samples. I'm comfortable with doing it like this. And if I hold down the function button, you will see that you get this little box. That box will do a selection at the 0 start point. That's really useful because that's going to eliminate some clicks or pops. But I don't really care about clicks or pops. I'm okay with that. So I just want to get my downbeat where I want it to. That actually sounds good. Now I'm going to select my endpoint. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I go to my editor, hit yes, and right here I'm going to do crop to selection. So that's pretty much like just truncating everything on the left side and on the right side, so leaving us with those 4 bars that we've selected, which 4 bars is about 16 beats in those 4 bars. One thing that I mentioned in the beginning, having a different approach into chopping up samples is on the MPC, I love chopping up using the lazy chop or the manual chop. I can go ahead and just do those slices. It's so fast. It's so easy. And sometimes I don't get creative because I just put it on manual chop mode and I just follow the beat and I just go, go, go. And it's done. Like, I'm okay with that, and I push it out. But right here, I'm actually going to go into slice mode, and I'm going to tell the sampler to chop this up for me into 16 slices. I'm going to create slice grid, and I'm going to, you could put 32 slices, 16, 12, 8 slices. I'm actually going to use 16 slices because this 4-bar loop is about 16 beats within those 4 bars. Hit yes, hit yes. All these, it created 16 slices in this sample. If I want to preview those slices, I'm actually going to zoom in. I can hit function yes. It's previewing the first slice, and I arrow to the second one. The world can be and it's just kind of previewing all the 16 slices that I have right there. Once I have that, I'm going to get out of this audio editor, and I'm going to select this track right here. I'm going to make this track into a slice type of track, and I'm going to double click source, and I'm going to turn slices on. Now that I have slices on, I'm able to play these pads or these triggers. The world came with Yo, there you go. All right, I'm actually going to pitch this down. Let's try to go down about 4. The justice. Oh, all right. The justice. The justice. All right, cool. So I'm already, having fun. Now, I am explaining through these steps and talking, but I've noticed that this thing is so fast to get something going. And right now I'm stopping, but technically, as you're chopping up your samples, you could have the beat rolling and you could edit and sequence at the same time. I know it sounds kind of weird, but these slices that we created, they're not destructive. So I can always go back to one of these slices and readjust the start point and the end point because, let's say this one right here, pad 12, it's not on the snare. So I'll go back to the audio editor and I can adjust the start of this pad. There you go. So you can adjust these. That is so cool. Yeah. Now all of these slices are starting on the downbeat where I want it to be. Now the really interesting part is that each track has their own sets of LFOs, effects. There's so many effects to choose from. Like in track 1, I can go to my amp page and I'm going to adjust the attack and give it a 1% attack. And now all of these, if they had a click or pop, they won't have that no more. Oh, okay. Now there's 2 ways to sequence the beat. I can just turn on the metronome and just start performing this, or I can just hit record and now I'm in my step sequencer ready to drop in triggers right here. So let's just say, for an example, I'm in record mode on track 1. I drop in a trigger on pad 1. On 5, 9, and 13. If I hit play, it's just going to trigger that sample. But if we want to change these triggers to different slices, we could just hold down this trigger right here and go to source, and we could go to slice 2, and this one right here, we could go to slice 3, and if I hit play, now if I want to go back and remember what I was playing, 16 and 14 is the next one I want to have. This one is going to be pad 16 or slice 16. And then I'm going to throw it right here for a pad 14. And now if I hit play, now let's just say on trigger 15, I don't want that thing to be triggering repetitively because it's just kind of like the same loop over and over. I could hold down a trigger 15 and adjust the conditional trig on this, hit left right here on this little arrow, and right here you'll see a trigger conditional level. So if I go up, making sure you guys can see, I can make this at a 50% chance that this pad or this trigger will be triggered. So if I hit play, it didn't get triggered. It did get triggered. It's just kind of like giving me a possibility that this sample will trigger, which is great because it's just switching up my loop. And this is just a 1-bar loop. that has some variation. Let's go ahead and leave this as is right now. Let's start adding some drums on top of this. I'll go to track number 2. Let's actually jump into some samples. I'm gonna go into my sample pack, Malo Beats Volume 2, and let's go into some kicks. I'll hit play so we can audition some kicks to hear it with the sample. Ooh, that's a nice kick. Oh, yes. Okay, I like this one right here. By the way, this is kick number 6 on my sample pack volume 2. If you guys like how that sounds really dope. I like how it feels with the sample. And now I'm in record mode. So if I hit play, I'm listening to the chops of the sample, and I can start just dropping in some triggers right here. Now, if I feel like this is a little too fast, I'm actually feeling this is a little too fast, I'm going to pitch this down to at about 5%, and I'm going to lower down the tempo. I just feel like it's too fast. I'm going to drop this down to at about 80 beats per minute and pitch it down. Yo, there you go. And now, this is on the grid. Now, the really cool thing is that these triggers that I'm putting on this grid, it's on the grid. So if I want to have it a little more loose, I can hold down, let's say this is the pre-kick. I can go right here and nudge it over. Now, this is freely. This is not nudging to a specific grid value. So I can kind of have like that pre-kick. And now if I hit play, there you go. It's got a little more swing. And now, another cool thing is if I hold down trigger 8, I can go into the amp section and lower down just this pre-kick. There you go. So you're gonna add some dynamics to the drums. Now, I like this doo-doom. Now, I can just grab this, copy it, and let's drop it right here, paste. Yo, that's dope. All right, cool. I'm really feeling that. Now let's go into track number 3 and let's put in a snare. I'll let that beat play and let's audition some snares. Oh, yes. Hit yes. And we can start laying this down. Just like that. Yo. And again, I'm going to drop in another snare on 15. Oh, yeah. I'm going to lower down the volume on that. And probably slide it a little to the right. Oh, that was a little too much. Yeah, just right there. Lower this down. I'll actually have a pre-snare right here as well before the main snare. Lower down the volume of that, and let's put this a little more to the right and have this triggering at a possibility. Let's do like at a 60%. Oh, yes. All right, cool. So now, you're adding some live to your loops right now. And now I'm going to go into track number 4. Let's add a hi-hat. Let's keep that beat rolling. Yeah. Oh, I like that. Yes. I'm going to have that just on the... Yeah, just like that. Yeah. Same thing, lower down this hi-hat. Make it a little late. Yo, and just like that, I'm just laying down a beat. Now, this is a 1-bar loop, but let's just say we want to make this 2 bars. We can actually hit function page, and right here we can go to 32 steps. Let go of that, get out of that page, and now this is going to be looping 2 bars. This is the first bar, second bar. Now on the second bar, I can go to the sample and maybe we can switch it up a bit on the second bar just so it's not so repetitive. Let me see what I can perform for the second bar that might sound a little different. 5, 6, 12. So we can go right here and go to a slice 5, 6, and then 12. And this one will be 11. Ooh, this will be 13. All right, cool. Now let's hear this. Yeah. All right, so now we have 4 bars. The first 3 bars is the same loop that's looping. This is bar 2, bar 3, and bar 4, we switch it up a little bit. Boom. Now that's really cool. We have a little something right here. Now what I want to do is I still have available track 5, 6, 7, and 8. Again, I've said this before, I usually end up just using 3 tracks or 3 elements in my sample-based workflow. Samples, drums, and a bass. And that's it. In this track right here, I have my sample and my drums. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to make track number 8 my master track. So I'm going to go into project and I will jump into controller, go to audio, hit yes. Let's get out of that. So now track number 8 is my master track. Everything that I have going on is running through track number 8, which actually gets very interesting because if I want to put some filters, some effects, some reverb, it's all going to go through track number 8, and it's going to work like my master effects chain right there that I can have fun with the beat. So let's say I jump into effects 1, which is my filters. I can go ahead and start filtering the master. Yeah. So that's really cool, but what gets actually even better is in effects 2, I can jump into effects 2. I can add some delay. So I'm actually gonna hit yes. Well, this is my delay that it's right here. I'm gonna turn on lock. I'm gonna get out of that and I'm gonna put the feedback all the way to 127, get my send out of 0. And now that I have that turned on, what I'm gonna do is now the master track has this delay effect. I'm gonna go to function down and I'm gonna make this a delay track. Get out of record mode. Now when I hit play, I'll able to have like some type of beat repeat to this master track. I mean, you get the idea right there. You could just have fun and perform your beat live using some of this beat repeat. I'm just kind of coming up with something really quick to show you how you would use that right there. Now, another really cool thing about this OCTATRACK is that this slider right here is actually really, really fun and really powerful. I just started tapping into the slider, and what this does, I'm going to do my best to try to explain it, but this is kind of like will create a kind of a global effect depending if you're on scene A or scene B. For example, I'll actually demonstrate a quick example. Let's say I hold down scene B and I go to my FX1, and on FX1, I actually want to hear what's going to happen. If I hold down scene B, I can start to say, I bring down this filter. So now scene B, every time I slide to scene B, I'm able to get that high pass or the low pass filter. Oh, and bring it right back. But let's just say I go into the second pad right here. Now this is a completely different blank scene. So right here, if I want to, let's just say on track 1, I'm gonna reverse all the samples in track 1, track 2. So I'm pretty much reversing everything, track 3 and track 4. Now, when I hit play, everything is going to play in reverse. There you go. So now, whenever I slide into scene B, it's going to give me that reverse effect. Yo, so again, that's barely on the preset number 2. You got 16 different presets. All right, so this is just I'm scratching the surface on what you could do with the OCTATRACK. But this right here just makes it so interesting. And like I said in the beginning of this video, just approaching sampling from a different direction. I'm so used to the same exact workflow with the machine that I'm used to working with is great. There's nothing wrong with that. I enjoy that. But just using a brand new sampler and thinking about music when I listen to records and when I'm in my car, I'm just listening to music. When I hear a sample that I want to start slicing up, in my head, I don't know how you guys work, but in my head, I'm already composing that song. I'm chopping it up. I'm doing the work in my head before I sit down in front of my sampler. So now when I listen to music, I'm thinking of a different approach, which makes it interesting for me. And not only that, but using these effects, the slider, the conditional trigs, there's so much right here that I didn't go over, but this is like the basic foundation that I'll be using when I'm making beats. Now, this OCTATRACK really shines when you want to perform your music. This is something that I gravitate towards because I've mentioned this before. I don't really like working in a DAW. I don't really like mixing in the DAW. It just becomes boring for me. The energy just gets away from me when I'm mixing in a DAW. I like to do my entire mix here. And when I do my mix here, I will perform my beats while I print it in a DAW and I export it. So for me, I want to have the flexibility and these different options, different effects that I can perform my beat. So that's my final product. Now, I myself have been just breaking my head in trying to understand the OCTATRACK workflow, which has been so much fun. I feel like just a kid learning a sampler again, and it's been very interesting, very fun learning this machine. Now, I hope this is not my last beat in my last video with the OCTATRACK. I'm really looking forward to put out a lot more with the OCTATRACK, so make sure you guys stay tuned. And if you guys enjoyed this video and made it to the end, if you're not subscribed to the channel, make sure you subscribe to this channel. I hope to see you guys soon on our next video. Much love, peace. I'll catch you guys soon.